வடிவேல் சார் சாப்பிட்டீங்களா?
சாப்பிட்டாச்சுங்க சார். சாப்பிட்டாச்சுங்க சார்.
வடிவேல் சார்.
சார்.
சித்தார்த் லைன் கிடைக்குதுல? செக் பண்றேன்.
சித்தார்த் லைன்ல தான் இருக்காருங்க சார் உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே, பேச முடியும். செக் பண்ணிட்டீங்களா? பேச முடியுங்களா?
செக் பண்ணிட்டேன். சித்தார்த் சார்.
கேக்குதாங்க?
ஓகேங்க சார். ஓகேங்க சார். ஓகே ஓகே
ரைட். குரூப் போட்டாச்சு. நேத்தும் போட்டேன், திருப்பியும் போட்டேன்.
ஓகே ஓகே, ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை சார். 31 ஆயிருக்கு. இன்னொரு 5 minutesல ரீச் ஆயிரும் சார்.
சரி சார். ஓகே, கொஞ்சம் ஸ்ட்ரென்த் வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடலாம்.
சரிங்க சார். சரிங்க சார்.
Dear students, please join as soon as possible. Please inform your class students. Tariq Ajesh, உங்க ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் நம்ம கிளாஸ் சொல்லுப்பா. 30 செக்ஷன் 3ல எல்லாரும் வர சொல்லுங்க. சிஎஃப்டி எல்லா டாபிக் தான். தாரிக் அஜீஷ் லைன்ல இருக்கீங்களா?
இருக்கேன் சார்.
கொஞ்சம் நம்ம பசங்க எப்படி கொஞ்சம் வாட்ஸ்அப் பண்ணுங்க, கொஞ்சம் குயிக்கா வர சொல்லுங்க.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே.
இந்த தேர்ட் இயர் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் மேக்ஸிமம் வந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும். உங்க எஃப்இஏக்கு ஆக்சுவலா பேக்ரவுண்ட் எஃப்இஏ நீங்க படிச்சீங்கன்னா சிஎஃப்டி கொஞ்சம் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். எஃப்ஏ நீங்க பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க, ஸோ அதோடைய அட்வான்ஸ் தான் வந்து சிஎஃப்டி. கொஞ்சம் தேர்ட் இயர் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ப்ளீஸ் குயிக் ஃபாஸ்ட். இட்ஸ் வெரி யூஸ்ஃபுல் ஃபார் தேர்ட் இயர் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். தமிழ் மாறன் கொஞ்சம் எல்லாரும் வர சொல்லுங்கப்பா. சிஎம் தமிழ் மாறன் கொஞ்சம் எல்லாரும் வர சொல்லுங்க. ஓகே, ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாம்ப்பா. வடிவேல் ஓகேங்களா? வடிவேல் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாமா?
ஓகே சார். நீங்க வெல்கம் பண்ணிருங்க சார். நான் இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் கொடுத்துறேன்.
ஓகே, குட் மார்னிங். குட் மார்னிங். Chief guest, today chief guest, engineer Siddharth, and then our students and faculty members for a Department of Mechanical. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical, I welcome to all. Today, guest lecture to CFD. It's very useful for the third years as well as final year students. We are going to do the any jobs, and then there is only for introduction about the CFD. So the guest today, chief guest, Mr. Siddharth in our college senior. Your seniors around 2018 batch. Welcome our chief guest Siddharth.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Vadivel sir, please introduce our chief guest.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good morning to one and all present over in this meeting. I am great privileged to introduce our today's chief guest, engineer Siddharth. He is an alumni of our college, SRM Valdiyamai Engineering College, 2017 passed out batch student. He completed the schooling Gian Matriculation School. Again, he completed BE Mechanical Engineering in our SRM Valdiyamai Engineering College with University 46th rank in the Tamil Nadu BE degree examinations. After that, he joined as a junior research fellowship at Microwave Tube Research and Development Center, DRDO. After that, he joined as a CFD, Computational Fluid Dynamics Engineer and Quality Champion at Volvo India Private Limited. He have more experience in the field of computational fluid dynamics. So we very much thankful to deliver the guest lecture. I requested Mr. Engineer Siddharth to take over the session and give the guest lecture to our SRM Valdiyamai Engineering College students. Sir, please proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction, sir. I feel very happy to come back and deliver a lecture on computational fluid dynamics. And first of all, I hope everybody is able to hear me. Kindly confirm if you're able to hear me correctly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll begin to share my screen. So I'll share my entire screen. So I hope it's visible, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. So yeah, let us dive directly into the topic. Today, I'll be delivering a very brief introduction to computational fluid dynamics. This topic is very vast. It encompasses several concepts of mathematics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, thermodynamics, combustion, and a lot of other physical phenomena that are seen in the everyday world. So I just want to explain the color coding that I've used in my slides. So if the text color is this dark red, then it means that the viewer is expected to pay maximum attention, and whatever text is in black, the viewer may choose to ignore if they don't want to, because this will contain a lot of text and it may contain a lot of formulae in mathematics. Whereas the second level of importance is the blue one, and the green text is just for the sake of continuity. So let us dive right in. So this lecture will contain the following topics. So I'll be introducing and revisiting what is fluid mechanics and what is heat transfer. Then I will explain briefly what is the type of mathematics that is being used in computational fluid dynamics. Then I'll tell the conditions that are necessary as well as sufficient in order to solve a problem using computational fluid dynamics. Then I'll list down the names of the computational algorithms used in CFD, and I'll give a very brief overview of what is known as the simple algorithm. Then we will benchmark a textbook problem and a commercial CFD problem using the software of ANSYS Fluent. And one problem will be a flow problem and one is based on heat transfer. And then finally, I'll be discussing a few applications of CFD and concluding. In addition to this, I may use uh, small forms of humor in order to lighten the mood so as to not make it boring for you. So I sincerely hope that by the end of this session, even if you may not understand the mathematics involved in CFD, you may able to you may be able to grasp the intuitive understanding of how a textbook problem can be realized on an industrial scale. So coming to fluid mechanics and heat transfer. So can anybody define what is a fluid? It is right there in the slide. Anybody can just even read it for me. Like, could anyone tell what is a fluid? It can be a student or a professor, anybody. Hello. கேக்குதா?
சார் ப்ரொசீட் பண்ணுங்க. கேக்குது சார், கேக்குது.
அதான் கொஸ்டின் கேட்டாங்க. Like, if any, yeah. And anybody like define what is a fluid? So that is what I asked. Anybody, any student, you don't have to be shy. It's okay. நான் பழைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட் தாங்க, கூச்செல்லாம் பட வேண்டாம். Okay, not a problem. So I will define it. So a fluid is any substance that deforms with the slightest amount of shear stress applied on it. So this seems to be extremely technical. So what do I mean by that? So basically, what I mean by that is, let us consider a solid block. So a shear force is a force that is tangential to any surface. Tangent means it basically rubs the surface on which it is applied. So let us say I apply a shear force like this on a solid block. What it will do is, it will tend to change this particular cuboid into a parallelepiped like this. And depending on how elastic that particular material is, once I remove this particular force F, it will revert back to its solid form. Whereas if I do the same thing for a fluid, however small that particular force is, the fluid will start moving. It will start moving. So basically, you can try this. Just try rubbing your hand on the surface of the table. The table will obviously not move. And you can try the same thing with a bucket of water and try moving your hand on the surface of the water. The water will start moving, however small the force is. So this is the meaning of a fluid. So it deforms even with the slightest amount of shear force that is applied on it. Whereas if we take, why not normal force? Because let us say I have a bucket of water like this, and if I take a ramrod or a piston and apply a normal force on this, it will do nothing to the water, because there is no space for the water to move. And if the force is large enough, it may exert the force. It will distribute the force along the surface of the bucket, and it may cause the bucket to break, provided the force is high enough. But other than that, it will not cause the water to move at all under any condition. So a fluid is something that cannot resist a shear stress, but can resist normal stresses. So normal means 90 degrees with respect to the surface. That is the meaning. So this is the meaning. And let us go back to the lecture. So the next one is, what is heat transfer? So heat transfer is a form of energy transfer that takes place as a result of temperature gradient. So basically, as long as the temperature is above, the temperature of any body is above absolute zero, that is 0 Kelvin. If two bodies are in space, energy transfer will definitely take place in between them. So can anybody name the three forms of heat transfer that take place? Can anybody name the three heat transfer forms?
Convection, conduction, radiation.
Yeah, like could you like briefly explain what is the difference between the three? Hello? Yeah, the names are correct. That is there. So what is the difference between the three? Okay, I'll make the questions such that you can answer in one word. So, which form of heat transfer does not require a medium for it to happen? Anybody? No? Okay. So basically, yeah, as sorry, was anybody answering? Okay. Conduction is a form of heat transfer that takes place in a solid body, and it takes place near the wall in a particular fluid body. So it occurs as a molecular phenomenon because of molecular vibrations within the solid. So for example, if you take a ladle that you use to fry something, basically it gets hotter with time because the heat from the vessel is coming to the ladle or the spoon that you're holding, and that form of heat transfer is called conduction. And convection is a complex form of heat transfer that involves bulk fluid motion in order for it to transfer energy. And radiation is a form of heat transfer that is done by electromagnetic radiation, primarily in the infrared spectrum. So radiation does not need any medium. So that is how we get the heat from the sun to Earth. However far it is able to transfer that much enormous amount of heat, in fact, from there to the Earth. So next two questions form what is the backbone of computational fluid dynamics. So what are the Navier-Stokes equations? So basically these are what you call as the momentum equations. So what do I mean by that? What is momentum? Anybody? What is momentum? Okay. So in simple terms, then Navier. Sorry, mass into
Velocity.
Yeah, you're right. So as a result of change in momentum, which is let us say one momentum is mv and a different momentum at a different time is mu. So the difference in momentum will cause what is called as an impulse. So impulse is nothing but force multiplied by time. So we can take m common. So F will be m into v minus u by t, which is ma basically. So this is the second law of the second law of motion by Newton. So Navier-Stokes is nothing but the Newton's second law for a particular fluid. So it is a tricky partial differential equation, but ultimately it is just Newton's second law. So I'll write down the equation. I'll write down the Navier-Stokes equation. So rho du by dt is equal to minus del p by del x plus viscous forces plus any other source term or body forces. So basically this is the total derivative of the mass into acceleration term here. So you have du by dt, and instead of mass here there is density, because everywhere I have divided by volume. So mass by volume is density. So this term is the acceleration term, and this is the pressure force, this is the viscous force, this is any other source term that is causing the force. Body force is nothing but our weight of the body, or you can generally when influenced by gravity. So body force is nothing but the weight. So these equations are very difficult to solve analytically. So we know how hard an ordinary differential equation is to solve. For example, students in mathematics will encounter problems like t square minus 2d plus 1 equal to 0. So you will solve this equation by saying d, let us assume d is equal to m, and then you will solve this as a quadratic equation and get the answer as m minus 1 the whole square. Then you will find out something called as the complementary function. Cf plus pi is the solution for an ordinary differential equation of this particular second order. So an ordinary differential equation itself has these many steps for it to solve. So these guys are partial differential equations. So what I've written here is only in the x direction. So y and z direction also you'll have these many terms in the equations. So naturally you will have so many variables here. So with respect to x you have pressure, with respect to y you have pressure, with respect to z you have pressure. So these equations, however complex they are, will represent whatever happens in the world. And these are what we call as the Navier-Stokes equation. And then what is a transport phenomenon? So basically transport is nothing but movement of something from one place to another. That is the simplest way possible. So if we take any pipe, for example, a liquid will come from here, it will go out here. So this is called as mass transport, and this is where your continuity equation comes. And similarly there is something called momentum transfer, which is what I explained now. So basically if I apply a force here, it will find a way to get it transmitted to come out here. So basically momentum in will be equal to momentum out, similar to how the mass in is equal to mass out. It will same way there is a momentum balance. And then the third form of transport is called as the energy transport. So whatever energy I give into a system, it has to come out of the system, and all of these are assuming steady state conditions. Under a transient condition, whatever is being stored inside will also get accounted for. So in simple terms, it is enough to remember this: whatever goes into a system must come out of a system in steady state. So that is what I mean by transport. Now coming to the mathematics of CFD. And if anybody feels like என்னடா வசனமே புரியல அப்படின்னு, if you feel, it's okay. You will be able to appreciate whatever I'm going to be telling. So in CFD, you can solve a CFD problem using any of the three methods that are highlighted in blue. So finite difference method, finite element method, and finite volume method. So what is the finite difference method? So whatever equation you see at the bottom here, you take that equation and you try to solve the problem. Let us say this f of x is what you want to know. So if you want to find out what is f dash of a, meaning f dash means derivative of f, df by dx. Let us say this is df by dx. Df by dx will be equal to f of x minus f of a divided by the x minus a. That is the, if you rearrange, ignore all these terms, just take until here. So it will be f of x minus f of a divided by x minus a. Leave the one factorial also, it's only one. So how can this be applied in a problem that we know? We know that, I hope you're able to see this portion. If it's too small, let me know, I'll zoom in. I hope you are all able to see this, right? So we know by Fourier's law of heat conduction that Q is equal to minus Ka by Ka dt by dx. So dt by dx is differential calculus. It is a very small term. Anything dt or dx is very, very, very small. It is infinitesimal. So when you take it for a large value, it may fail. So you should, what you do for that is you do something called as discretization. The meaning is that you divide your domain of interest. For example, I want to solve a conduction problem for a plate. Let us say the plate has an area of 2500. Each side is 50 mm. By 50 mm, there is one plate and it has a thickness of 5 mm. So for that particular problem, we can directly get the value of maximum temperature when we solve for Q is equal to minus Ka dt by dx. So for not so simple geometries like just the plate I've considered, what we have to do is we have to discretize that particular domain into small boxes. So how we do that is, let me show you. Sorry, file, new, don't save. Yeah, so let us consider any irregular shape. Mind you, the equation, whatever I told, whatever governing differential equation is there, let us say I want whatever, let us say I given Q amount of heat, it will find a way such that the Q comes out under steady state. That is what the energy balance will say. So it will manifest in such a manner that there is a gradient of temperature within this. So coming back to the point, what is finite difference method? So finite difference, finite element, or finite volume, all of them have this process in common. This discretization is called as dividing the domain into small chunks along all the axes. So sorry, in this any solver that you use in any CFD software or API software that you use, this process of discretization is also called as meshing. So whatever is the result of discretization is called as a mesh. So what we'll do is we'll take this small chunk and we'll solve the, if it is a conduction problem, we'll solve Q is equal to, sorry, not dt, del T by del X into K. This Q is Q by A. This is flux. So this is how we'll solve. So basically, this is the delta X, the size of the cell, and K is the conductivity of the body, and delta T is something that we will be finding out, and Q is the amount of heat coming in the amount of heat transfer in the X direction. So let us put this as qx. So this will solve, this equation will solve in the x direction. So if we take only the first term, as I said, fx minus fa by x minus a, this will be first order accurate. Next one, you can find the value of f dash of a by including this term also. So then it will become second order accurate. So you can get where I'm going from this. Basically, as you include more and more terms in the series expansion, your solution will become more and more accurate, and it will become almost equal to the analytical solution that you use using your formula. And coming next to the finite element method. So in this method, you will use something called as a weighted residual, or you will use variational method in order to find out the solution of the governing equation. So you may all, I mean, third year students may have studied about this, like they would have studied Galerkin method and all of that. Whatever is that, the crux of the solution is very simple. You assume a solution, you take take the values that are important from your governing equation, and then you solve your assumed equation iteratively, meaning you will guess the initial solution. If it doesn't satisfy the boundary condition set by the governing equation, you will iterate, go for the next iteration. You will then see whether it satisfies the boundary condition. If it doesn't satisfy, then again you will iterate and it will go on. So this process repeats until the solution you get satisfies the particular boundary condition. And then we come to the finite volume method. So this is what is being used in most of the commercial CFD software, and this is almost similar to the finite difference method. And here what happens is volume integrals are converted into surface integrals. So you may ask, what is all of this? So let me put it in a simple manner. So volume to surface integral is nothing, very simple. So let us say this is one fluid element and it has a weight of rho g, specific weight rho g, meaning we know mg is the weight, so I have divided by volume for to have weight rho g. Now let us say this is contained within a container. So for it to maintain equilibrium, this body force is equalized by the surface forces exerted between the walls of the container and the fluid. So basically, this weight will exert a pressure on the sides of the wall as well as on the bottom of the wall. So we can infer that the pressure multiplied by the surface area of whatever is touching the liquid surface will be equal to the force. Here I'll have to put mg only. So P into A will be equal to m into g. So that is the reason why this is in equilibrium. So I have converted this weight into something related to a surface. So this is with respect to volume. Here I have said pressure into area. Area is a surface. So I hope this clarifies what I meant by volume integrals are converted into surface integrals using divergence theorem. So this is the outlook of the mathematics that is being used in CFD. The next one is the conditions to solve a problem using CFD. So seeing the terms consistency, stability, convergence, and Black's equivalence theorem, the students may give reactions like you may feel that, but these are all to be taken literally. The literal meaning of consistency is what is aiding us to solve the computational fluid dynamics problem. So what is consistency? Basically, a finite volume approximation is considered consistent if the truncation error can be reduced to 0 as time step and mesh size is reduced. The meaning is very simple. So if I go back to Paint, I said this will have one governing differential equation where it will have, let us say, dt by dx k is equal to q. The difference between dt and dx, dt by dx and del t by del x is the size that you consider. So as del t by del x approaches 0, this will become dt by dx. That is the meaning. So the meaning is, as I make myself smaller and smaller and smaller, this is an approximate solution, mind you. So this is an approximate solution only, and this is solved entire for the entire domain. So this approximate solution will become the exact solution as long as you keep reducing the mesh size and the time step size. Time step comes when your solution is dependent on time. So it is a transient simulation. Here there is no time term, so we don't have to worry about that. And it is enough to explain using this space coordinates. That is, it is enough to explain using dx. As I make my mesh size smaller, it will approach the correct solution. It's more than enough to intuitively understand how reducing time step will also make a solution correct. Now, coming to this, next is stability. So since I said that my CFD solution is an approximate value, as I solve the problem, as each iteration progresses, my error must decay. Error decay means that the difference between the actual solution and the difference, the difference between the actual solution and the CFD solution will go on minimizing. And when the solution finally converges, I'll tell what is that. When the solution finally converges, the error must be as minimal as possible in order for it to be reliable. So that is what is called as stability. So when is a solution unstable? If I, for each iteration, the error becomes greater and greater and greater, and finally you will not get the correct result at all. So that is an unstable scheme. So for us to have a good CFD solution, the error must go on minimizing as it solves the problem. That is the crux. Then coming to convergence. So what is convergence? Meaning is that your approximate solution will approach the true solution of the governing equation. That is convergence, very simple terms. And it can be defined in a mathematical way also. Meaning is that if you iteratively solve a problem, you should have the same solution for two continuous iterations for it to be considered as converged. So the process is very simple. You guess a solution, plug the guessed values onto the equation, you get a result. You see if the result is the same as what you plugged in. If it is not, then plug in the result that you have achieved into the equation once again, check the result. Now you should compare this one and the previous result. If they are same, then your solution is converged. If not, you will continue. So based on this, a person named Lax proposed an equivalence theorem. So what he said that is, as long as a finite difference method has consistency and stability, the solution will definitely converge. That is what he has said. That is the theorem. So I hope you are able to intuitively understand. Now, let us see what are algorithms in CFD. An algorithm is nothing but a way to solve a particular problem. It is just giving you a guide, like it gives you the path. Okay, I have this problem, I need the solution. So what is the path for me to get the solution? So please don't get overwhelmed by the amount of data that is being put here. It's actually very intuitive. So I'll explain this particular flowchart before I explain what all these are. So I'll explain the solution method using what is called as the simple algorithm. So you will have the initial set of values, and initially what I said as the momentum equation, the Navier-Stokes equation, the F is equal to ma, basically the Newton's second law, that you will discretize using the methods that I specified in the previous slide. It is either finite difference, finite element, or finite volume. So in whichever method you have discretized, take that discretized equation and solve for momentum. By how will you solve? Because I said you just have to guess a value and find out one solution. You just have to guess and plug it into the equation and see what result you are getting. So you will solve the discretized momentum. Then you will solve something called as a pressure corrector. So these two, once you solve, you will definitely not get the correct answer. So what you have to do is you have to correct the particular velocity and pressure that you obtain by guessing, plugging in, and receiving the answer. So once you correct that, you will solve the equation for other quantities like continuity and energy. So if you have temperature, you will solve the energy equation. Then again, you will correct the pressure and velocity. Now you will check the result. Okay, is this same as my previous iteration? If not, then update the values that you have obtained and go back the loop, follow the same procedure. So what you will ultimately get is that if you get two consecutive iterations of the same answer, then your solution has converged. So basically, your variables obtained using the solution must satisfy whatever equation is there. So basically, if I say x plus y is equal to 1, if I say x plus y is equal to 1, and if I say y is equal to 2, so basically x plus 2 is 1 and the value of x is minus 1. So basically, this y plus 2 is something called as the boundary condition. So when I put y is equal to 2, and when I solve the guessed value, at the end, you should always get minus 1 as the answer. If you get something else, it is wrong. So nothing else can satisfy this. So this is what I mean by satisfying a particular boundary condition. So at the end of solving this particular algorithm, you will get the converged solution. So this is called as simple algorithm. So the meaning of simple is it is called as semi-implicit method for pressure-linked equations. So what you're solving here is nothing but you're solving the equation for pressure and you're solving the equation for velocity. So the meaning of implicit is that you cannot express one variable in terms of another variable fully. You will not be able to separate the variables in both sides of the equal to sign. So what do I mean by that is file, new, don't save. So basically, if I say x by y is equal to 2 or something, so here I am able to separate this like this, x is equal to 2y. So this fellow is explicit. So in case where I'm not able to separate these two variables, that is, let us say I have tan of xy is equal to root of y by x square plus y square, something like this. I don't know if this is separable or not, but there is a good chance it is not. So if I'm not able to separate the x and y values on both sides of the equation, then that becomes implicit and it's very hard to solve. So for those equations, what we'll do is we'll have to follow an algorithm like this. So this is the simple algorithm, and there is something called the piezo algorithm. So it is called pressure implicit with splitting of operators. So the difference is that it will solve this particular arrow will start from pressure only. It will solve the momentum only once, and it will iterate until we get the correct pressure value, and finally it will substitute to get the correct velocity. So basically, it will save a lot of steps. Instead of solving momentum in every iteration, it will instead not do that, and it will skip it until the last iteration. But we need to be mindful of what algorithm we are using for solving a particular problem. So for steady state, you can use simple. For transient, you can use piezo. And coupled is something that is a mixture of both. It will solve both of them together instead of in sequential steps. So these will generally be available as an option to select in a CFD solver directly. So you don't have to write all of this as a code and all. You will directly have this in the GUI of a commercial software. However, if you want to code this on your own, you can do that, but the grasp of mathematics must be very good. So now let us see two example problems. So the first problem is a laminar flow in a pipe. So I am considering a pipe of inner diameter 0.01 meter and length of 0.2 meter, and I'm passing water inside it. So water has a density of this much and a dynamic viscosity of 0.001 kg per meter second. So we know, and I can find the Reynolds number for this equation. So the Reynolds number is nothing but rho Vd by mu, and I've already found out that it is around 990 or something, and this is laminar flow. So for a laminar flow, this is the formula for pressure drop. Can anybody say what is the name of this equation? Hello? Can anybody say what is the name of this equation? You would have studied in fluid mechanics. Anybody? Okay, fine. So this is nothing but the Hagen-Poiseuille equation. So whatever value of dynamic viscosity, the length, the mean velocity, and the diameter, all of these values are available here. And using that, I can find the delta P between the inlet and the outlet to be 6.4 Pascal using this particular formula. Whereas when I use CFD, I'm getting a value of 8 Pascal. So this is this deviation is very simply because of two reasons. One is the discretization error. I may have to make things finer, but it looks good. So another possible cause would be this one. I may have probed the inlet velocity while the flow is not fully developed. So So can anyone tell me what is a fully developed flow? Anybody? Hello? Okay, so fully developed flow is easy to understand. So I'll give something like this. Let us say I have a plate and there is a fluid approaching this plate. So once the fluid touches this particular portion, we know that this particular plate is fully stationary. So the fluid layer immediately adjacent to this particular fluid surface will have a velocity of 0, but it has come with a velocity of u. So what it will tend to do is, since here velocity has been made to 0, in the adjacent fluid layer, it will try to increase the velocity in order for it to compensate the force. So what it will happen is, it will form something called as a boundary layer, and the velocity across this particular boundary layer will increase. So the point at which your maximum velocity becomes almost equal to the free stream velocity is what they call this. So when these two almost become equal, that particular thickness will be called as the boundary layer thickness, delta. So why am I saying all this? Because just a minute. Yeah, because adjacent to the solid boundary, the fluid has to have its boundary layer captured. This is very important in a CFD problem. So in order for it to get captured, we need to mesh it in a different way near the wall. So that is why understanding boundary layer is important. So basically, a fully developed flow is one in which the boundary layer has been fully established, and basically the mean velocity, the average velocity of this curve that you take will be equal to u, but it will have a higher velocity in the middle in order for it to compensate the fact that it has lost its velocity near the wall. So it's basically consequence of Newton's third law. So here it comes with a velocity v. This wall makes it to go, makes the fluid go to 0 velocity. So in order for it to compensate for this loss in velocity, it is increasing in the middle. So here it is reducing, in the middle it is increasing. So this is a consequence of the Newton's third law. So that is, so this particular boundary layer will take some time to, it will take some time, and it will take a particular amount of length for it to fully develop. So until it fully develops, that particular region is called as the entrance region, and once it fully develops, it is a fully developed region. So now we can see, so this is one of the reasons. For example, in fully developed flow, the pressure value will be high because it is not yet fully developed, and there are a lot of disturbances in this particular force. Sorry, in this particular region on the pipe. So that is why if I probe somewhere before it has fully developed, then I may get slightly wrong values of pressure. And if my mesh is not good, I'll get wrong values of pressure. And by theory, we know that for a parabolic velocity profile, the maximum velocity must be twice that of the initial velocity that is applied. So I'm expected to get 0.2, but I'm getting 0.17. So I'm getting a 15% error here. So that is also because of probing while it is not fully developed. So if we allow it to develop even further, the final velocity at the outlet will be 0.2 meters per second. So this is the velocity contour and this is the pressure contour for the pipe when I cut it and take. So the next problem, we'll consider the same dimensions, but here we'll do it with heat transfer. So considering laminar invested incompressible flow, we know that Nusselt number is a constant, 4.36. So using this 4.36, we know water conductivity is 0.6 and the diameter of the pipe also is available. So using the values, we will find what is the heat transfer coefficient. So theoretically, we have found out that 261.6 watt per meter square Kelvin is the heat transfer coefficient by plugging in the values of K and D. Then we can find out the same values of heat transfer coefficient by using CFD. Since the problem setup is the same, here also we'll have to be careful whether the flow is developing or fully developed. For developing flow, the heat transfer coefficient is always very high when compared to the fully developed flow. So for fully developed flow, we can see it is almost it is closely correlated, and we can actually also get the particular velocity profile. As I said, we are supposed to get 0.2 here, but here we are getting somewhere close to 0.17. So whatever contour you are seeing here, I have plotted the velocity profile using CFD. So now what we'll do is we'll solve, I'll explain the steps how to solve a particular problem using the ANSYS Fluent software. So first, let us see a conduction problem. Let us say I have a plate and let us say I have a plate. That particular plate is of dimensions 50 and 50 mm and it has a thickness of 5 mm. So this is my body. Then once I model the body, I discretize into something like this. So this is what you call as the mesh. And on one surface, I will designate it in order to apply the heat. And on another surface, I will designate it for it to be fixed temperature. And I will consider this particular solid to be aluminum. So coming back to Excel. So let us say on the wall that I'm applying heat, I'm applying 10 watts. So we know the flux is nothing but the heat divided by the area through which it passes. So 10 divided by 50 into 50 is 2500. That if you convert to meter, it is 0.0025. So you're getting 4000 watt per meter square. So I'll be applying that in Fluent. This is the commercial CFD software that is used to solve. So I'm applying 4000 watt per meter square as the flux. And on the wall where I'm fixing the temperature, I'm applying 20 degrees Celsius. So in that, this is nothing but if you add 273.15, it is in Kelvin. So 293.15 is the wall on which I'm fixing the temperature. So I fix a temperature of 293.15. And here I have assigned the material as aluminum. And for the aluminum, the thermal conductivity is 202.4. So 202.4. So we know Q is equal to Ka dt by dx. So Q by A I directly know. So Q by A is this one, 4000. Q by A is available. That multiplied by del x and divided by K. That will give me what is the delta T. So in delta T, we already know what temperature we are fixing. So this T max minus T fix is what is my del T. So if I want to find what is T max, it is very simply equal to, you just have to take this T fix to the other side. Just add the T fix to the delta T. You just have to add the T fix to the delta T. So I'm getting a T max of 298.249. So this is the value. I can increase the thing. So 298.2488 Kelvin is the maximum temperature on the surface that I apply heat. So if I solve my problem, so this is where I have applied the 298. I hope you're able to see now. So on the surface that I have fixed the temperature, that is 293.15, and on the surface that I've applied, we are able to see an exact match of 293.2488 as we have obtained in the theoretical formula. So this is how we solve the conduction problem in fluid. Now let us see how to solve the same pipe flow problem that I explained. So this particular extrusion that you see, it is simply to account for this developing region. In order for me to have fully developed flow within this pipe region, I have put this extrusion for the flow to develop. So I have modeled something like this. So basically the inner diameter is what is important for me, 0.01 meter, and the length is 200 mm. So this is my pipe. So once I model, I'll mesh that. So this is the cross section of the mesh. So once I mesh that, I'll take this to the solver, and I'll give the boundary conditions. I'll assign that the fluid is water and the solid is aluminum. It doesn't matter, like then for constant heat flux condition, as I said, the Nusselt number is 4.36. So I've applied the flux of 612.1375. It can be any value. Since for this particular type of problem, the Nusselt number is always constant. Then at the velocity inlet, I have given the value of 0.1 meter per second. And then I have solved the problem. And finally, like we can cut a plane wherever we want. Like this is my pipe, and here we can cut wherever we want. We can create planes wherever we want to see the particular variable that we are interested in. So I have plotted pressure here. So I can plot the velocity by changing this particular thing. And yeah, so these are the steps in which you solve a particular CFD problem. So let me reiterate. So what you will do is, the first step is to define your problem. Like you need to know all these values, have the model ready. Then you do something called as discretization or meshing. Then the third step is for you to actually solve the problem by appropriately putting the boundary conditions into it. And then finally extracting the results. That is known as post-processing. So nobody should actually like just solve the problem using CFD and say, okay, this is my result. You should always keep in mind that this is an approximate solution. So it needs to be validated either with an experiment, or it has to be validated using an analytical explanation like I did now. Only then it is believable. Otherwise, it is simply a rainbow color plot on the presentation, and it's only for aesthetic purposes, and it doesn't really add any technical value. So for you to have extremely meaningful result, it always has to be correlated with an experiment. Now, coming finally to the applications of CFD. So here, this picture is taken from Cengel heat transfer. So these are the applications of heat transfer. So in the human body, we consume food, and that particular food is converted into energy. As a result, our body temperature is being maintained. So there is heat transfer, and because of blood flow, there is fluid mechanics inside. And then coming to air conditioning systems, it again has refrigerant systems, refrigerants flowing within the fluid circuit in it. and then circuit boards produce a lot of heat. For them to stay in the right temperature, they need to have appropriate cooling, either by natural convection or forced convection. Then in car radiators, then power plants, and in refrigeration systems. Apart from this, there are applications in aerodynamics, like external aerodynamics of a car, of a plane, and then you can have combustion within an IC engine, and the temperature distribution on the wall of the IC engine because of the combustion happening inside the combustion chamber, and a lot of things like that. So imagination is probably the only limit for the application of CFD. It can be used in anything, wherever you have a fluid for. And finally, conclusion. So what is computational fluid dynamics? I haven't answered that question until now at all. So computational fluid dynamics is a tool used to solve complex mathematical problems involving fluid flow, heat transfer, combustion, species transport, chemistry, and quite a lot of other physics that you may see. So it is a extremely useful tool, and it is sometimes used concurrently with an experiment, and it may be used in places where experiments cannot give you the results at all. So the graph that you can see on the right is basically computational dynamics, fluid dynamics, trying to bridge the gap between pure theory and pure experiment. Because simple formulae in pure theory cannot be used for complex geometries to solve a problem. Similarly, pure experimentation is extremely costly. You cannot go do experiments and make prototypes for complex geometries every time. It will cost you crores of money. So we need to find a way such that the cost is minimized. So that is where computational fluid dynamics comes in. So without actually making the prototype, you can simulate what would happen under a particular scenario, and then you can get the correct results and deliver with respect to the design process that is necessary. And finally, in order to learn CFD, one has to have a good grasp of mathematics, especially some calculus, some basic programming skills, and a very good foundation in fluid mechanics and heat transfer. So this is the conclusion. So the references from which I have taken the pictures or the content from are Fluid Mechanics and Applications by Senjal and Simvala, Heat Transfer by Senjal and Gajar, NPTEL lectures on fluid mechanics, Computational Fluid Dynamics by John D. Anderson Jr. and the Answers Fluent Manual. Then நான் இவ்வளோ நேரம் வந்துட்டு இப்படி டான்ஸ் ஆடி பேசிக்கிட்டு இருந்தேன். ஸோ I hope I was able to convey at least an intuitive understanding of computational fluid dynamics, if not the exact mathematics behind it. But I hope I have delivered the method to solve a problem as much as possible, as detailed as possible. So if you have any queries, I'm ready to take questions. So you can ask as many questions as you want, and I'll be ready to answer. Hello.
Yeah, students, ask any queries. Do you have any simple questions? Ask them, your seniors. Any basic ideas? Any clarification for your subjects also? Fluid mechanics, heat transfer, FEA.
The questions can be very generic also if you want. Like anybody can ask any question.
Any general questions also. How to write the GATE exam? Any idea about future career also?
ஹலோ, யாருக்குமே கேள்வி இல்லையா?
தம்பி கேளுங்கப்பா, அவர் ரொம்ப ஈகரா இருக்காரு பாருங்க ஆன்சர் சொல்றதுக்கு.
Please students ask some questions.
கேட் ப்ரிப்பரேஷன் பத்தி கேளுங்கப்பா. அவர் கேட் ஸ்கோர் வாங்கியிருக்காரு. ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கேட் ஸ்கோர் வாங்கியிருக்காருப்பா. கேட் எப்படி how to prepare the gate exam, how to read the subjects.
அவங்க எல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஷையா இருக்காங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
டிஆர்டியில் ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்காருப்பா. அது அங்கே தான் அதை பற்றியே டவுட்டு. அதில் விட எப்படி என்ட்ரி உள்ளே போகிறது எப்படி, அது மாதிரி ஏதாவது கேளுங்க. எப்படி அவர் உள்ளே போனார் அதெல்லாம் கேட்கலாமேப்பா. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸ்போஷர் கிடைக்கும்ல, ஃப்ரீயா பேசலாம்.
ஸ்டாஃப் கூட கேள்வி கேட்கலாம் யார் வேணாலும்.
ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கா கொஸ்டின் கேக்குறதுக்கு? இதெல்லாம் அவ்வளவு ஈஸியா இருக்கா சப்ஜெக்ட்?
அவங்கெல்லாம் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு வந்துட்டு இது இப்படி இருக்காங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ வசனமே புரியல அப்படின்னு உட்காந்துட்டாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
அப்படிதான் இருக்கும்பா. சிஎப்டி பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஸ்டார்டிங்ல கொஞ்சம் ஸ்ட்ரகிள் ஆகும். ஸோ அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்க கொஞ்சம் அதை கொஞ்சம் கான்சன்ட்ரேட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா நல்ல சப்ஜெக்ட், நல்ல ஸ்கோப் இருக்கு. பாத்தீங்களா இந்த சிஎப்டி பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் பேசிக்கா நீங்க லைட்டா நீங்க தெரிஞ்சா போதும், நீங்க நிறைய பெரிய லெவலில் போயிடலாம். ஸோ உங்களுடைய ஃபியூச்சருக்கு வந்து இந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் சிஎப்டி வந்து நல்ல ஏரியா, நிறைய ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் கொட்டி கிடக்குது இந்தியா லெவல்ல, வேர்ல்ட் லெவல்ல. அதை பத்தின உங்களுடைய ஏதாவது இந்த எப்படி இந்த ஈக்குவேஷன் ஃபார்ம் பண்றது அந்த மாதிரி டவுட் கேளுங்க. ஓகே சித்தார்த், தேங்க்யூப்பா. பயந்துக்கு வந்துருக்காங்க, ஏதோ புதுசா இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க அவங்க, நினைக்கிறேன். அதனாலதான் யாருக்கும் ஒரு ஐடியா கேட்கல. பயப்படாதீங்கப்பா, ஈஸியான சப்ஜெக்ட். வடிவேல் சார் முடிச்சுக்கலாமா?
ஓகே சார். Sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you very much for your wonderful speech. But our students' point of view, asking for any queries, he would not clear about the CFD. Actually, the first class, CFD பத்தி அவங்களுக்கு இப்ப ஒரு ஐடியா கிடைச்சிருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். FA தான் படிச்சுட்டு இருக்காங்க. பட் FAக்கும் CFD சம் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கு. இது கொஞ்சம் அட்வான்ஸா அவங்க ஃபீல் பண்ண நினைக்கிறேன். அதனால அவங்க கிட்ட கேட்க முடியல அவங்களால. ஸோ அவங்க ஏதாவது எனி கொஸ்டின் கேட்டா நான் உங்களுக்கு அதை ஃபாலோ பண்றேன்ப்பா ஃபியூச்சர்ல. ஸோ உங்க கான்டாக்ட் இருக்கு, அவங்க கிட்ட உங்களுடைய கான்டாக்ட் நான் கொடுக்குறேன். CFD பத்தி அவங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது இன்னும் நிறைய தெரியும்னா நான் உங்களுக்கு உங்களுடைய நம்பர் கொண்டு கான்டாக்ட் பண்ண சொல்றேன்ப்பா. அபிஷியலா இல்ல அன்அபிஷியலா கூட.
ஓகே சார்.
ஓகேப்பா, ஓகே. தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச்.
தேங்க்யூ.
எஸ் சார்.
ஹலோ
சீனிவாசன் சார்.
சார் எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கு சித்தார்த், நல்லா இருந்தது பிரசன்டேஷன். ஒரு நாளைக்கு டைம் ஒதுக்கி ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஆஃப்லைன்ல நேரா அந்த பாசிபிலிட்டிஸ் இருந்ததுன்னா அந்த கோவிட் சுச்சுவேஷன் எல்லாம் முடிஞ்ச பின்னாடி ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஆஃப்லைன்ல வந்து பண்ணா பசங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் நல்லா இருக்கும்.
கண்டிப்பா வரேன் சார்.
ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஆபீஸ்ல சார் மூலியமா ஏதாவது பண்ணி அங்க ஓடி வாங்குற மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒன்று பண்ணிட்டு கொஞ்சம் ட்ரை பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் பண்ணி கொடுங்க.
ஓகே, ஷூர் ஷூர் சார்.
ஓகே சார், தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
ரைட் சார்.
அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் டிஃபிகல்ட்டி இருக்கும், அதுக்காக தான் ஆஃப்லைன்ல கொஞ்சம் பாசிபிலிட்டிஸ் இருந்தா பாருங்கன்னு சொல்லி சொல்றோம்.
ஷூர் ஷூர் சார். அதான் நான் முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு அதான் வந்துட்டு லைக் ஐ டிட் நாட் டெல்வ் இன்டு டீப் மேத்தமெட்டிக்ஸ் பிகாஸ் அது கொஞ்சம் புரிய வைக்கிறதும் கஷ்டம். அதனால நான் ஈக்குவேஷன் எதையுமே காட்டல. அதான் ஏன்னா அது கொஞ்சம் பூதாங்கரமா தான் இருக்கும் அந்த ஈக்குவேஷன். ஸோ அதனால
நேர்ல கொஞ்சம் நல்லா இன்டராக்டிவா இருக்கும். ஸோ அதனால கொஞ்சம் ஒரு பாசிபிலிட்டிஸ் கொஞ்சம் நாங்க யாராவது கேட்டா கொஞ்சம் உங்க டைம் ஒதுக்கி பண்ணி கொடுங்க. ஸ்ட்ரெயிட் ஆஃப்லைன்ல பண்ற மாதிரி ஒரு நாளைக்கு. ஓகே
ஷூர் சார். ஷூர்.
தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச். தேங்க்யூ.
ரைட் சார். வெல்கம்.
ஓகேப்பா, தேங்க்யூப்பா.
தேங்க்யூ சார்.
ஓகேப்பா.
தேங்க்யூ சார்.